Budgie, you're all very welcome. A special thanks to my little Patreon fans who are keeping this going. I appreciate it a lot. Now, I have to give you a heads up warning this week. This week, there's a fair bit of whinging. I have to admit. There's a fair bit of whinging from me this week. Now, I don't know if it's my age, my gender, or I've just become a whingy old shite. But I can't help it. I can't help it this week, people. I can't help it because winter has arrived again. Winter is at our door. It is lapping at our legs. And last week, we had a whole slew of weather warnings of an approaching cold snap and the resulting snow and ice that would be expected. Now, tragically, it seems that nobody at our Department of Infrasture watches the weather, as the pavements in Belfast are covered in sheets of ice, making them more dangerous to walk on than the base jump. I admit, my fear of ice is probably also down to advancing years now. I do have a faint memory, very, very faint memory of being a wee child and how much fun we had sliding down the ice. But I am a child no more. I am no longer a child. I am now a sexagenarian, which sadly has nothing to do with sex. So over 60s, you know what I mean? We know that if we fall, we no longer bounce, we break. Resulting in most of us my age having a pathological fear of ice. Horrible stuff. Like only last year, only last year, I went out to get into my car, and just as I went to open the door, I had the discombobulating experience of sliding away from the car down the pavement that was covered in ice. I ended up grabbing my neighbour's gates and holding on to him to grim death, screaming, "Somebody help me! Somebody save me!" Now, eventually, my family did hear my screams of anguish and they came out to rescue me. But only after my teenage children had taken a video of their stranded father, which they then uploaded onto anti-social media telling me that it was prime clickbait. Clickbait. I don't like children these days. Children aren't nice. I don't like them. I'd send them back if I could, but I can't. Anyway, again this year, the pavements await 100 broken hips and sprained ankles. For it seems that gritting them is beyond the ability of DFI Minister John O'Dowd. Now, I know what you're shouting, people. You're shouting, don't blame the politicians, Jake. Wise up. They don't have the money. They don't have the money to purchase that salt, and then ship it all the way across over here to grit our roads. It's not as if we have a mountain of salt sitting up the coast of Carrickfergus, which would only need put into lorries and driven half a mile into the centre of the city. Well, hold on. We do have a salt mine in Carrickfergus, and it's been there since 1965. It's been producing 500,000 tonnes of de-icing rock salt every year.
Salt mine, we produce salt.
Assembly was built on a mountain of gold. Them Muppets would still find a way to bolt it up. I promise you, they would. So staying with the Department of Infrasture and its minister, I have to give another shout out to them for managing to mismanage our road infrastructure to such a degree that Belfast city centre now becomes a car park most days due to never-ending roadworks. I don't know. If I could be so impertinent to Minister O'Dowd, could I suggest something which could possibly help to remedy the situation? Why don't we do our road maintenance in, say, June to August, when all the kids are off school and people have sorted off on holiday, rather than waiting till November, December, when the traffic is already at its heaviest? Suggestion. Of course, it'll be ignored by DFI and John O'Dowd, as common sense is a very uncommon characteristics in the corridors of the Northern Ireland Assembly. I tell you that, you know that for sure. But remaining within the beleaguered Assembly, we had a prime example during the week of the childishness of some of its membership. Right? A debate was taking place where Alliance MLA Kate Nicholl challenged the DUP Education Minister for erroneously, seemingly, accusing her party of not supporting funding for childcare. Now, Gordon Lyons, the Communities Minister, DUP Communities Minister, he was so incensed, he jumped from his chair and ran out of the chamber, shouting at the Alliance Speaker to be quiet. What's this?
Order for the Minister of Education to imply that Alliance ministers did not support the £25 million for childcare, especially considering the Alliance Party was the party that brought the proposals for subsidised childcare to the House. And those two parties supported 3 hours.
Order. Members, the question will be conducted through this chair and not from the benches to my left or to my right. That question, Ms Nicholl, will be taken away and the Speaker's office can consider whether or not that was a point of order in the first instance, and then if there's a reply, given that it was. Sinead McLaughlin first. Sinead McLaughlin first.
Point of order. Our Minister, the Minister of Communities, walked past while another member was making a point of order and shouted over there, "Sit down." Is that in order?
He wasn't at a mic. It's already going to be enhanced. Sorry, do you think it's appropriate?
My God.
Again, members, again, it will be conducted through the Speaker's chair. Mr Buckley, it will be conducted through the Speaker's chair. And that point, Ms McLaughlin as well, will be taken to the Speaker's office for advice and a reply back. Shamil Holland? That's okay. So those have been dealt with. Members content to take the raise before we move to the next item.
Was the wee boy upset? Was the wee boy upset? I hope that he met an adult outside the chamber who calmed him down and proffered the emotional support he so obviously needs. Like his actions weren't below the standard of a Minister of Government. They were below the expectations of an adult. Lyons behaved like a petulant adolescent who stomps off in a huff when they don't get their own way. But to be fair to Minister Lyons, he hasn't always been so temperamental. Indeed, only last month he was able to sit through a whole big long meeting with the LLC, our Loyalist Communities Council. Now, they are an organisation who are a front for loyalist paramilitary groups such as the UDA and UVF. These groups, which were supposed to have disbanded after the Good Friday Agreement decades ago, with part of the deal being that members of those organisations would be released from jail, some of them serving life sentences, multiple life sentences, so long as you all just go away, stop messing about. Like I remember way back, I think it was 2010, when legendary loyalist Gusty Spence made this historic announcement.
The Ulster Volunteer Force and the Red Hand Commando will assume a non-military civilianised role.
He then spelled out what that entailed.
All recruitment has ceased. Military training has ceased. Targeting has ceased. And all intelligence rendered absolute. All active service units have been deactivated.
But would you believe it? Instead of disbanding, both groupings have continued to exist and indeed actively recruit young men who, having joined their organisations, are then forced to pay up to £3,000 if they subsequently wish to leave. Indeed, in 2020, it was estimated that loyalist paramilitary groups here had up to 12,500 members who were contributing monthly, get this, up to £250,000. Hey, forget Ronald McDonald. This is taking franchising to a whole new level. Now, along with a number of smaller nationalist groupings, the UDA and UVF also have revenue streams via racketeering and drug dealing. And while loyalist politicians such as Minister Gordon Lyons and DUP leader Gavin Robinson justify meeting the LLC, they argue political engagement with them is needed to encourage them to transition away from criminality. Could I remind you, they're supposed to have done that decades ago. And we've paid millions in public funds to these organisations to transition away. And they're still there. No, I can't understand. Why does our police force, why won't the PSNI, why are they unable or unwilling to enforce the law and arrest members of illegal organisations? Bit of mystery, isn't it? Like the precedent was set. The precedent was set in 1995 when none other than Sonny out there Well, he was sentenced to 16 years in the Maze prison on charges of directing terrorism. Indeed, he was one of those released under the Good Friday Agreement. That's handy, wasn't it? Handy. It's handy. And while, admittedly, shootings and bombings are thankfully a thing of the past, many would argue the damage being done by loyalist paramilitary groups to their own communities via drug dealing is yet another form of terrorism that desperately needs addressed. But from a bunch of bananas to one banana, stuck to a wall with a bit of gaffer tape, an aptly entitled comedian, which would you believe sold at Sotheby's fine art auction this week for, wait for it, $6.2 million. What's this?
I'm looking for 4, there it is, $4 million.
Say 5, please. $5 million. Don't let it slip away. 5,100,000.
The world's most expensive banana at 5,200,000. It's slipping through the auction room at 5,200,000, and I'm going to sell it here. Fair warning, at $5,200,000. The Catalan is yours. Congratulations. Thank you very much indeed. It's paddle number 17. Thank you very much indeed. Congratulations.
The piece of art was by Italian artist Maurizio Catalan, who is from the aptly named Absurdist School of Art. And now Maurizio, he has form. In 2016, he replaced the toilet at the Guggenheim Museum with a fully functioning gold one and entitled that America. I guarantee you Trump bought that. I guarantee. Have you ever seen Trump's gaff? The most gaudy, worst. It's all gold. The whole thing's gold. He bought that. He's had a shite on that gold toilet, I'll tell you. More than once. Anyway, back to... But the art, people question, is this art? Isn't it art? What is it? Do you know what I mean? Now, Andy Warhol once described such conceptual art as... whatever you can get away with, he said. And its history is a very long history. It stretches way back to 1917 and a piece by Duchamp, which he called The Fountain, which was, of course, in reality, a urinal. Now, the banana first appeared at Art Basel Miami Beach in 2019, where 3 editions of it were sold, 2 for $120K, and then when they saw the thing was selling, they bumped it up to $150K for the third one. But the question people ask, of course, is, how can you own a banana duct-taped to a wall, which will eventually rot? Well, you don't actually own the banana. What you buy, what that guy for 6.2 million bought, was a certificate of art authentication. You know me, so that when his banana goes bad, he can replace the banana, according to the artist's very strict instructions, and consider it an original Catalan again. But then the next question comes up, how can you be certain that the banana you buy is an original? That's a good question, people. That's a very good question. Well, I happen to be a comedian, and I have exciting, I have thrilling news. The Catalan estate has decided it fitting, therefore, that I be designated as their first Irish dealer. And I am today thrilled to bring to the market not 1, but 2 original Catalan pieces. I give you, ladies and gentlemen, piece 1. Look at that there. Look at that. Pristine. Look at that. I'm not talking, come on, I'm not talking 26.2 million. I'm not talking 120,000. What I want for this pristine example is only £10,000, boys and girls. £10,000. Come on, get your checkbooks out. Let's hear it. $10,000. £10,000. I don't care. You could be the proud owner of one of the most talked about pieces of modern art of the last decade. So get your money order in here, and I will send in the post you an original piece of art. But how long? I know that not all of you can afford £10,000. So, as a one-off, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the second, bit more manky offering of the banana on the board with a gaffer tape. Now, this one's a few days old, ladies and gentlemen, you can see, but manky, but still, we're not going to ask you. We're not asking 6.2 million. We're not asking 10,000. We're not even asking 5,000. I'm asking you for £2,500. £2,500 for this amazing little piece of art, which could be in your wall tomorrow, with the flies flying around it. Where else would you get it, boys and girls? I'll tell you what, even better than that, I will advise you on the best veg and fruit shop to go to replace your banana, which will bring it up to a pristine Catalan. Worth a fortune. So roll up, come and get your art while it's still ripe.
Get the sketcher out, but it's still rape for a bargain price. Get your greens out, I've got a yelly for ye. Oh, come on, boys and girls. You'll do nothing. You hear me? You'll do nothing.